Welcome to Critters in Taiwan, a D&D podcast about Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Ben,
I am Timothy.
and we are the Critters in Taiwan. I'm out in Kaohsiung, and
I'm
Tim's
I'm
up in
up here in
Taichung.
Taichung. Yep. Hopefully not the only critters in Taiwan.
We're looking out there. Hey,
Yep.
quick note: if you're not caught up on Critical Role, up to Campaign 3, Episode 3, all spoilers ahead. We're going to be spoiling everything, so pay attention or don't. It's up to you. You've been warned.
Yep.
So how are you now, Tim? How's your week been?
This week's been all right, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
this week's been pretty good. Getting back onto my feet these days. So I've been doing pretty
excellent.
well.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. You made it through sober October, and you're full steam ahead. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good, man.
Regain that
So I,
control.
I told you about this. I'd like to take this moment just to say a couple of words about we lost a good friend this week down here in Kaohsiung. One of the guys that first got me involved in D&D here in Kaohsiung. I've known him for we're getting close to 20 years, and he passed last week. It's been a rough week for us down here. We had a rough time down here. He was a good guy, and he deserves to be remembered. That's Dan was one of the guys that introduced me. Relevant here because he introduced me to D&D in Kaohsiung, got me involved at a couple of different tables. We for many years played D&D at his dining room table, his war table, his on his battle maps. Started playing Pathfinder, and then multiple campaigns that we made through at his table, and he will be missed. It's unfortunate. For those of you who are down here in Kaohsiung, we're going to be having a wake for him on Saturday, celebration of the man's life. So yeah, that's all I want to say about that.
This
We'll
one's
move
for
on.
Dan.
This one is for Dan.
Cheers, bud. And cheers for anybody watching.
Yeah. Cheers for anybody out there who's paying attention. Yeah. So let's move on from that and move into happier notes. I got myself here a new for the show, a new D20
For the show.
I'm making my way through my entire set. I've got hey I'm making my way through all of the different D20s that I've got. This is an old one. It's a blue set of dice that I've got, and I don't particularly like this D20, but I'm going to see how it does. So, are you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Cool.
My bluey's ready as well.
Excellent. Oh, we're starting with this is campaign 3, episode number 3, the trail and the toll.
The trail and the toll. All right.
For those that don't know, now you know.
There we go.
Ready to roll?
Rolling.
Right.
Ooh, I got myself a 9.
I rolled a 9. 9.
Who's got higher decks?
You're younger. It's probably you.
Well, yeah, but we're all drummers, so
rollies, man, rollies. We roll again.
rollies. Here we go.
Ready?
Ooh,
Go.
You're gonna take this one. I got a 2.
Oh, I got a 14. All
14.
right.
Here it comes.
All right. This dice never rolls real hot for me, so I'm kind of surprised.
Is this the first one I've lost? The first one that I've lost?
It might be. It's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe Critters in Taiwan Stats is paying attention.
Oh shit! Yeah, I should get in touch with them.
Get in touch with them. And figure.
I think they've been
look at that
sleeping
wiki.
for the last few episodes.
Okay, I'm going to start right at the beginning of the episode with Hit Point Press and that Tarask mini that Sam brought out at the very beginning in the ad read. That if you don't remember, he pulled out that Tarask mini, the little
Oh, dude,
fucking giant.
I was listening instead of watching at that time. I was walking.
So if you don't know, the Tarask is one of those legendary monsters in D&D.
I'm so tempted to look it up right now. I'm not going to do it.
Above and beyond dragons, it is the dragon of all dragons. It's the smog to all the other ancient reds. It's the Thordak, I guess, for all the other ancient reds. The Tarask is the ultimate bad guy for D&D. There isn't. Maybe an astral dreadnought would be a little bit around the same level, but I think a Tarask even beats that. Anyway,
Man.
this I just wanted to give a shout out for this monster that he brought out. It was gorgeous. It was the whole table erupted into can't believe that thing. It was they called it a mini, and it was a solid 30 centimeters tall, just a gargantuan of a thing that would terrify anybody put on the battle map.
I
That's
remember
all. That was my
what was it? It was
actually.
either I always bring it up. The Search of Grog or Search for Bob is one of the two where they had the big old guy that Scanlan made dance, and
Yes,
it
that
was
was
one of those.
search for
Yeah,
the grog.
and then they made the joke where it's like, well, the mini's just gonna be fucking Matthew dancing on the map.
Hmm. That's right. I remember that. Yeah,
And back in the
absolutely. It was
Thordak
amazing.
days, where it's like Thordak's mini was larger
Yeah,
than my head, but it was actually
right.
Thordak or something,
Yeah, exactly. When they did eventually fight him. Well, imagine. So go back and watch the episode at the beginning of the episode there, and watch that Tarask. That Tarask is bigger than Thordak. Like
Mm.
it's ludicrously large. Just a beautiful thing. Which brings me into the same point about the ad reads that they've done so far for these 3 episodes. The choreography that they did for that Hit Point Press ad read it was incredible. The whole side of the table with the dream sequence and how I remember it was, and they did the dream and the dream and the dream. It was like a weird little sort, not Inception sort of a thing, but it was just, no, I remember the dream this way and I remember it this way. Anyway, it just,
Dude, I
okay.
feel completely lost right now, and I don't understand why. I'm completely
Oh,
caught up on this episode, but what the hell
that's
am I
only
missing here?
there's the intro stuff before the episode even started. It made me laugh. So
Is this included in their like little 14 minutes before?
no, it's when they go live, they do the ad reads at the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just a 1 minute thing that I wanted to comment on about how the ad reads have really. It's not just Sam. Surprise, shock, and awe. Remember when Sam in campaign 2 he did the does whipped cream make it better? And he put
Yeah.
whipped cream on all those
Worse or
things.
better? When
And
you make things sweet, yeah, it's either better or
right,
worse.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, better or worse. That was that whole thing. It's not him grossing them out anymore or surprising them with shock and awe. Now it's the entire cast being involved in these ad reads, and it makes me giggle, the choreography, that the lengths that they're going to now to get when they're getting into this stuff. Anyway, that's all. That's my whole point.
I don't understand how I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Like, I'm sitting here as a critter in Taiwan not knowing what you're talking about. I just started watching this episode again tonight because, I like the episode.
Some of us pay more attention than others.
But no, but I'm paying like in the old episodes, I always make sure I'm there for the ad reads because they're so entertaining, and
They're
then like
hella
I
entertaining,
skip through a little bit, and then I skip through the intro because I've seen it so many damn times.
I know.
Okay, because I've got it playing down here because I don't understand how I
Okay.
could miss this. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, okay. I'm just getting. I have it playing down here.
Don't worry
just
about it. Don't worry about
a
it. Just
visual.
let's move on.
I'm gonna have to
Your
check
turn.
it out after we've done this.
I know.
'Cause
I know.
This is
It's all
stupid.
good. I wasn't expecting to throw you a curveball right off the hop.
I didn't expect it either. It's like I've seen this just as much as you have, if not just a tiny bit less.
Mhm.
Fuck. Okay. No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna watch. No.
Don't worry
I'm
about
gonna
it.
let it play. No, there's something
Nope,
moving
don't.
in my periphery. I can't have that.
Yep.
Fucking
All right.
hell.
Shoot.
All right, my turn.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, here's it's actually kind of like it's kind of a shotgun point that I have written
like
down
those.
here. Is the comfort levels. Something that came up to me is like I've never played D&D, as we've said before, and we understand, and we're gonna try to fix that, right? But I have rolled dice with people before, where like I came in with a character that was kind of like haphazardly rolled together. Not in D&D, it was in Heroes. So it was a whole different game, a whole different.
Yeah, you've mentioned it to me before. That's right.
Yeah, and I wasn't there a whole lot. But I was still there, even though that I had this character that came into the story that had something to do with a main part of the story. I would sit back and just be like, they're like, hey, so what do you do? And be like, I don't know. I guess I go down the street and look for a piece of bread. That's something my character would do at that time,
Sure.
and that was it. And they're like, anything else? I'd be like, and they're like, okay, and then they go to the next person, right?
Hmm.
That level of comfort was just not there, when I started in.
Hmm.
And then when you go into like if anybody's starting at campaign 3 at this point, the level of comfort that the people have at the table is just it's way up here, you know.
Way up there,
It's way
for
up there.
sure.
They've been playing together for years. They've known each other for longer. And they don't get shy about bringing anything up. And I think that's a really good thing, especially for new viewers of the show, to start watching because they'll be like, "Oh, it's so entertaining to watch them be very very
Hmm.
comfortable." Because it
Hmm.
seems like, as people always joke, like a written show, but it's totally not. Of course, it's
Totally not.
improvised. It's
Totally
a
not.
game,
Yep.
and they roll
Yep.
dice, and the dice tell the story.
They're Yeah, they're just so comfortable in the shoes of their characters that they can jump in between player and character effortlessly.
Effortlessly.
It's beautifully. It's
And they're
beautiful.
also
Yeah.
professional at doing
And
so.
that helps too. And I think we've talked about this also. They're divas. They love the stage. They love the spotlight. They all soak up the attention. They just
Yeah.
love it. And it makes it's wonderful. I mean, you see the chemistry, like you said. You see the chemistry. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it makes for a great show. And I'm not
Hmm.
sitting here trying to sell the show. I don't give a shit if you like the show or not. It's fucking great regardless of your opinion.
Totally.
And but I'm sitting there, and this episode, it was so damn entertaining. I was sitting there like what I usually do for this show and just for myself is I'll make notes, on my voice memos on my phone.
Right.
Something comes up and I'll just make a voice memo, either for something to talk about here or just to try to remember for the future.
Sure. Sure.
And what it ended up being was like I had this huge list, and at one point I was like listening back through them, feeling like those old skits from like Saturday Night Live with Chris Farley and the Chris Farley show is what it was.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was like remember when you did this? It's awesome. And like I had so many points where that was it.
Yep. Yep.
It's like something funny happened, and I was like, oh, I thought that was funny. It's like, no,
Yeah.
everybody did, dude. Chill out.
Yes. Yep.
But this
Totally.
episode, like I've two and a half times now I've listened back through it. It's just from start to finish, just they're so comfortable with each other.
It's Yeah.
Even though the characters
They're
are
just like
fair,
slipping into a warm bath. It's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful, especially for us
Yeah.
veterans. Like
Hmm.
we had our apprehensions, kind of, or like maybe not anticipations, but it's just so nice. Just going
Hmm.
back in, it's just like it's wonderful new content and it's wonderfully entertaining, like more so
Yeah.
than I thought it would
They're
be.
like it. I just finished the Briarwood arc of campaign one, and I've sort of
Refinished.
take for the third, fourth. I don't even know how
This
many
is the first
times.
time watching the campaign, folks.
Yeah. And I'm making my way through the making my way.
It's just a
Yeah.
noise now.
And it's ridiculous. I'm getting into the Chroma Conclave stuff where Thordak, destroys Iman and et cetera, et cetera. They're in Vasselheim looking for the Trail of Vestiges. And anyway, my point is, you see the level of like they're I don't know what the right word for it is. The way that they play, the way they play the game, the way they act, the way they voice act, the way they ask questions of Matt and as players and as questions of the NPCs. Back then, they were at like maybe a level 5 for awkwardness or comfort. Campaign 2, they sort of slipped into maybe a 6 or a 7, 8 at points. You're right. They're up at an 8 or a 9 right now for these first 3
off the
episodes.
springboard,
It's
man.
Yeah, it's incredible. They're so. It feels like they've really, and I mean, we've talked about this. We talked about this in episode 1. The hate of the EXU cast, Orem and Dorian and Fern coming back. The weird level that the Bertram Bell, yeah, that whole thing where he's come back as whatever.
Yeah.
And people are angry about that, but I don't think it matters. They're so good at what they do, because I question it also. I question the idea of bringing in the characters we've already seen. They're not brand new and whatever. But they do it flawlessly that I don't even care. I mean, watching them, yeah, do all the things they do as these characters is it's inspirational, it's aspirational, it's fantastic. Words.
I think in
I need a new
particular,
thesaurus.
Travis has been just shining like a motherfucker. But he's got the upper hand, or one of the upper hands, because he's played this
Mhm.
character before. He
Yes.
just seems so comfortable. Like his timing with his comedic shit has been just
Mhm,
fucking
mhm,
on point. With this
mhm, mhm.
episode, that when he fell asleep, what was that,
Oh,
episode 1 or 2?
the the well, when he in this episode when he falls asleep
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then he
that's
gets
right.
woke he gets
Somebody
woken
was
up
sending him a
by
message, right? And he was like,
Laudna. Laudna sends him a message and a whispers message, and he slept right through it. And then Imogen sends him a thing, and he's like, yes, coast is clear.
"Oh, nothing gets past me."
Another, yeah, just like virtually flawless, a master class in improv. It's more than improv though. Like you can call this improv acting, but it's not.
I wouldn't say
It's
so. Yeah, it's a different
no.
category, but
They're making it up as they
similar.
go, but they're living in the shoes of these characters. They're right in there, and all they do is just react accordingly to what's happening. Like
Yeah.
you and I would react in a classroom or in our day at a bar when there's a bunch of drunks around, which is actually probably more fit of an analogy to Critical Role than a school classroom would be.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Things like that, like improv. No, sorry. Stand-up comedy has direct correlations
yeah, sure.
to teaching.
Mhm.
Especially if you do the same lesson over and over again.
Yeah, because
You're doing a
it's
routine.
rote. You're doing a
Yeah.
routine. That's right. That's
And
right.
then when you have somebody who comes to each show, or you have a co-teacher who sees you multiple times,
Mhm.
they know when your jokes are coming. They're
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
I see what
yep.
you're doing."
Mhm.
Especially when
Whereas
you're
this
trying to
is
act like it's not a joke.
this, especially in these early episodes, the early levels where they're just sort of meeting each other. It's very much like meeting a bunch of drunk dudes in the bar. And you know them, but they're drunk, so they're slightly different. You're not quite sure how they're going to react to certain things, and it's more like a feeling out sort of process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, hey, that was yours versus mine. Let's roll again.
You're gonna roll again? All right, yeah.
Yeah,
I like doing some more rolls. All right.
I like rolls. I like rolls.
I love roll. I never get the chance to roll. Here we
Oh,
go.
not bad.
Ooh, not bad. I got a 15.
I got a 15.
Fucking hell.
Jesus, that's double rollies. Okay. All right. Roll off.
It's
Roll
been
again.
recorded.
Oh. Okay.
Ooh, you're not gonna beat my 19.
I'm not going to beat you 19.
You're not gonna beat my 19.
You're up.
All right, all right.
What do you got?
Okay. Wait, so that feel okay. All right. I'm not gonna go super negative, but this is something that fans of Critical Role have been aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little no, that's not a good way to say it. There was a small moment, a very small moment, where Imogen, Laura's character, she had said something to Bertrand Bell,
Mm-hmm.
and after she said it, she said, "Oh, I said that in his head."
Ah.
And you know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is something that Laura likes to do
Yep.
with all of her roles in all of these games, where she always likes to
Yeah, the
maybe try to
retcon.
get something and be like, "Oh, can I have done this last night?" And then Matt will sit there and be like, "I'll allow it."
Yeah. It's
I'm a little worried
doesn't.
about this because if she
Yeah.
doesn't remember, or if that's even one of the rules, or if she can, that's one of the things. I don't know the rules
Yeah.
as much as you do.
Retcons.
I see it as
Retcons
maybe
are
being
at
a
the
problem.
DMs. Yeah, retcons are at the DM's discretion. I think that Matt's pretty good at recognizing when it's going to really influence the storyline, or when allowing it will uh, either only minorly influence the storyline, or it will actually enhance the storyline.
Yeah,
I think
Matt's good
there's.
at
I
that.
think
So, like
he's very
he'll
good
like
at
make
it.
you roll
I
for it,
think.
and just in case,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
given
I
the
think there's
situation.
a bit of an art to that, and I think that like we talked about this last week with Talison's reckless attack. The
Yeah.
whole idea of calling the thing before you, or sorry, after you make the roll or you do the thing. It's let's be honest. There's a lot to remember. You got to remember all these different little things, and with one of the mantras at my table is that you know your fucking character. Don't fuck around. Don't go looking up. Oh, I don't know what it does. And this spell, what does that spell do? And oh, I need an Eye of Newt to cast that spell. I didn't know that. It's like, well, you're supposed to know that. If you're new to the game, fine. There's a learning curve, and you don't expect very much. But at this point, 8, 10, whatever many fucking years they've been playing now, they should know these things. Little slip ups like that, where it's like, there's every. I think about that situation. There's every chance that she actually did mean at the beginning, oh, I'm going to say in his head,
Totally.
and then just didn't say it. Just didn't
Right.
say that. It was like, oh yeah. It's
Same with Reckless, and same with the other example we
Mhm.
used with it was what's her name? Ashley's character.
Fern,
Nope, past campaign.
Yasha.
Yasha, when she was doing that thing, she was like, she rolled one and she was like reckless because she knew that she was doing reckless. She
Right,
just said
right.
it when she did the second roll. It's like, yeah, we get that. That's fine.
All the time. All the
Yeah,
time.
and Matt
Yeah,
gets
and
that
when
too.
you mean it, and I think Matt does. There's a bunch of things you got to remember. It's a big plate you've got sometimes, and when you're spinning plates too, like you've got all these different plates up there you got to pay attention to
Can't
and
even imagine, man.
focus. Yeah, it can get tough, especially in the higher levels. One of the it's going to be an interesting thing with Imogen, Laura's character, that with this
Is
abhorrent
that how you
mind.
spell it? ABH, etc.
I think it's abhorrent mind.
If there's an H in there, yeah,
Sorcerer.
it could be
abhorrent.
aberrant. I'm not sure.
I'm not tomato.
Tell us
It's
how
going to be
stupid we
interesting
are.
because
Write us. It's fine. Get in the
yeah,
Discord.
yeah,
Do
down
it.
there. It's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to, because telepathy is going to be a real big part of her class and her character.
Already is.
It already is. We see this. It's like she's probably going to be using a lot, and I think I glanced through the the class progression. It gets even more serious. She gets really, really mind flayer. Not the same level of psionics, but psionics do become a part of it. So we'll see. We'll see how they go.
We've already seen the kind of drawbacks to it, like
Yeah.
if she kind of fails that first time, then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like it.
Like
Can someone else do
Superman.
it, please?
Yeah, it's like Superman when he's learning how to control
Or
his superhero.
Daredevil, right?
Daredevil when he's learning how to control all the the sonics vibrations.
Yeah.
All right. Great point. I like it. I like it a lot. It's good.
Yeah, I'm
Good
a
piece.
little worried
I hope-
about it, but Matthew's very good at it. There was another example with Travis when he learned how to summon the demon or something like that as Ford in campaign 2.
Right.
And then it was like some episode they had just started and they were like,
Yep. And
point of
Matt's like,
order.
hey, could you
And when you
take a
hear
look at
point of
the-
order,
Yeah.
you know that he's going
Everyone-
to be like,
Yeah. Everyone
in
at the table's like,
future.
oh fuck.
yeah.
What did I do? What did I do? Everyone look. It's like when the teacher's like, hey, starting up. Pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like,
Uh-oh,
"So
we're
would
in
you
trouble."
be able to find the way to find it was like a vial of blood of a freshly killed
Of a-
humanoid
within
or something like
24
that?"
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then
Yeah.
Matthew,
I love Travis's reaction to that.
yeah,
Like, what the fuck? Why would wait a minute? Oh, I need this. And at that point, he starts looking through all of his spells, and he realizes the material components of some of them. It's like, what the fuck?
got to keep track of that shit. I
Hey,
mean,
man.
fucking, what has Liam been
Know
doing the
your
whole
fucking character.
campaign?
Yeah. Liam even said that. He's like, yeah, motherfucker, welcome to my world.
What do you think I've been doing every time we go to a town? Every time, spending all that money on. That was actually something I don't know if we ever talked about on this show. Is Liam back in the day in campaign 2, always spending all of his money on paper and the ink.
Paper and ink. Yep.
Because
And then
like
there's
if
one-
that's what he
yeah, there's-
needs, as that's what's in the character description, sure. Or if that was just RP and that's how he learned, or if that was like some kind of homebrew shit.
No, that's very much like him in thinking ahead. Do you remember when he was creating the mansion, Mordecai's mansion?
Oh, dude, that was like half
more-
the episode when he
No,
described
but
it.
I don't mean. No, I mean before that, when he was thinking about it, he had Kaliana's stick that she gave him. She gave Caleb. That was Mark Hume's character.
Yeah.
And then he took the pieces of the stained glass from the cathedral when they fought the when they fought the demon. What was the
Oban?
laughing hand, and then Oban later.
Oban, the
And
laughing
remember
hand.
when
Yep.
his cat's paw went destroyed the stained glass? He went around and picked up all of the stained glass pieces, and he was multiple times when they were wandering around. He would say to the group, he's like, "Okay, I'm going to spend a minute by the fire, put the stick down, arrange the stained glass shards in a certain order." And then that was it. That was the whole thing. That was, and he's like, "Oh, that's it. Good night." Then I go to bed. And it was all in anticipation of creating the stick was the tower, was Widogast's tower, the
Oh,
nine-sided tower. And the stained glass pieces were the windows in all the bedrooms. And
is
he
that
was,
why that went under my radar?
yeah, it's one of those things where Liam went so deep with Caleb that I think a lot of us, not a lot of us, I mean, I caught it. I watched that and I was like, oh, that's in his mind. He's already building the tower. Caleb is already creating the tower in his mind for when he actually gets the spell, and then he'll actually be able to envision it. So he's like constantly reinforcing and constantly rebuilding and constantly every night when he goes to bed, he's creating. And that's
Huh.
one of those things that Liam motherfucking O'Brien does.
Yeah.
He's
I think it
yeah.
came up in episode, not in talks, that Liam was like, "Dude, I've been working on this for 2 years,"
Mhm.
because I think he
Very
had his
much.
idea
Very much.
for the wizard back in campaign 1,
Yeah.
and
I'm
that's
sure he did.
'cause if the time works
Listen,
out.
man. You and honestly, hey, here's a piece of pro tip for D&D players. If you're gonna play a fucking wizard, spend some fucking time learning, because it is. I'm gonna argue that wizard is the hardest class to play in Dungeons and Dragons.
Huh.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. If I've watched a few wizards in my time flub their things completely, and it's awkward. It's not good. It's a hard class to play.
Do you
I'm
have 60 pounds of sage?
Yeah,
Be
right,
like,
right.
no. Be like,
You need
sorry, spell fades or spell
most of
fails.
I watched a buddy of mine jump into a campaign a number of years ago. And this is Pathfinder days. He jumped in with a wizard, and he had his character sheets in front of him, and then he had a complete thick, like probably a good solid 2-3 centimeter thick, separate notebook specifically for spells. That was his spell book. And it was just like, okay, well, wizards have spell books, but this player had a separate spell book. And I'm like, that's how you fucking do it. Like that's what you need to do. Wizards are tough, man.
Kudos,
Again,
man.
I think they're the hardest class to play. I've never played one, and I for a reason. I don't really want to. It's too much work. It's a lot
Sounds
of
like a lot of
bookkeeping.
fun,
It's
but
yeah,
with
yeah,
great power comes great responsibility.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, my turn. I'm going to bring
Your
up
turn. Go for it.
an extra little point here. This is a small one again, like sort of like yours was a small point, but I think still a really really fun one. Um, they've 3 episodes now. Laudna has cast the message cantrip.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And the whole cast using the using those fucking whispers, man. Just and I think I said this last week that eventually it's gonna drive Travis from the table. I don't think this point is gonna drive Travis from the table. I think because well, I clearly it's not, because even Travis was getting in on these whispering die, and it's like all these different
Matthew was too.
discordant. They all were.
Matthew was
And
doing his
it's
reverse whisper thing that we saw at the
yep.
end of campaign 2. Yeah, he was all about it.
Oh, listen,
This is
hats
one of my
off,
points as well. Shit.
applause. Hey, good, because it's so clever, and I think that this is one of those things that with this Laudna character who we're just learning more and more and more about, which I have I wrote it down about Laudna. Somewhere.
So many notes.
So
And
many
you must
notes.
have books and notes at this point with all your DMing, this show,
It's getting a lot.
just personal shit.
Shit. We learned something new about Laudna this week.
Uh-oh.
Her source, she
A source of her power?
Yep. The sorcerer that she is. I wrote it down. I lost it.
Oh, so maybe you learned something
Maybe I'll
about her,
find
but
it.
someone like me didn't learn shit.
Yep. I looked it up. We know what we learned another thing about Laudna. It was we already knew before that, because this is all homebrew shit, right? The variant human, which I think she's still not confirmed, but I think she's variant human. The unholy, no, the hollow, what are they called? Hollow one.
I think you said it last episode,
I did say it last episode. I'm losing all my notes.
but I don't write that shit
Um,
down.
yeah, she's a hollow one, which was Jumanji Costco. Um, they're
That's
hollow
right.
ones, which is and we think she's undead warlock or something. I forget what the warlock is, but we learned something about the sorcerer because she fucked up and she wanted, Marisha did. She wanted to use use 2 sorcerer points to do something with a spell. I really should write this shit down. She wanted to do something with a spell, and Matt was like, "You
Been a
can't
week,
do
you're
that
okay.
yet because you don't." Yeah, I know. You can't do that yet because you're not at 3rd level. Which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Matt fucked that up
They started at
because
third.
yeah.
Oh wait,
They
but third
started
level sorcerer, third level warlock.
right. She's
Or
multi-classing. It was I can look it up. It's not that important. Anyway,
I
it
forgot
was
her
one of those little,
classes.
yeah, the little D&D nerd in me was like, holy shit, this we've talked about this before. This character fascinates me. The whole idea of the where she comes from in Whitestone, and Marisha's beautiful acting with this nightmare of a creature who does that.
But very pleasant.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clearly, she's
Like
like
as a
best friends
character,
with
not just
Imogen.
like how
Yeah.
I perceive her, but as a character,
Mhm.
very pleasant. She
Mhm.
does. I think she's got like a 15 plus charisma.
Something like that. It's
Yeah,
quite. It's a little bit high. Yeah,
yeah.
6 strength though, or 5 strength.
Yeah, I
That's
think it's
gonna
5 strength. Yeah.
listen. Was one thing in like the D&D point of order here. If you're so strength, ghosts. I think it's ghosts. If you get touched by a ghost or something, there's ghouls, revenants. I forget what they are. If they hit you and you fail a saving throw, you start losing strength points. And if you go down to 0 in any ability score, you die. Like
Whoa.
die. No death saves.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Die. Yep, doesn't matter. Any of them, you die.
Fucking hell, is that how they're defined? Is that how they define all of
Yeah.
those things?
Yeah.
Because if you go down to 0 charisma, why would that
Die.
kill you?
Because you have no presence of, I don't know.
There's no reason for anybody to save you.
I think they talk about that one as being there is a reason for all of them.
Strength makes
you just
sense.
get
Intelligence
more.
makes sense.
Intelligence, your brain is cooked.
Wisdom,
Yeah.
and charisma.
Anyway,
I'm a little
it's
I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
fairly certain. Now you got me second guessing it. I'll look this up. Or hey, if you're out there, write down below and tell us why we're wrong, why I'm wrong. I'm
Don't lump me into this shit. Come on.
I'm fairly certain that when you go to 0 on any ability score, and fairly certain Pathfinder anyway, and other editions, 5th edition, could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that if you go down to 0 on any ones, you die.
Wait, hold on a second. So like when you polymorph into like a shark, which has an
No,
intelligence
polymorph's
of
different.
1, it
Yeah.
just it bamfs you out of shark. Correct?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
go back to your
okay.
character.
Polymorph might be something different. I don't know how you would do that, but
Because you could polymorph into something that has a really low stat and then get
right.
who would feeble
And
man
then
to
it get-
sharp, but
Yeah. Pretty sure.
that's interesting. I never heard that before.
Now now you got me second guessing everything, but I'm fairly certain. So one of the things that I was thinking about with Laudna is that with that 5 strength, if she doesn't at least pump that up a little bit or just whatever, she could be in for some trouble if they encounter something that can knock off strength points.
She's got to get in touch with Orly, yeah? Get a nice little tattoo.
Get one of those. Yeah. Hey, yeah, there you go. Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, just an interesting D&D point there. That's all.
I feel like I missed like 2 points in there. God damn it.
Yeah, that's all good.
Oh, one of the ones that's it's a testament to Marisha doing the character so well,
Mm.
and also perhaps having a strong precedent before her. was is that when I'm walking along the street listening to the episode, I don't have to look at her when she speaks in character.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
see it already, and I
Yeah.
can see more than just her. I see the nails, I see where her mouth is, I see
Hmm.
the whites of
Hmm.
her eyes way the fuck up here, just because of the way she's doing the character so well, with perhaps
Yes.
the
Yes.
the it's it Bellatrix or Beatrix?
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix, all right, because I'm
Hmm.
confusing it with Final Fantasy 9.
Hmm.
That yeah, she's doing such a great job of perhaps channeling that character into her new character, or she's just doing a fucking fantastic job by herself. Maybe she's never seen it before. Of course, we all
Mm.
know that's not true. But she does so well, like when
So
when I
well.
hear like
So
fresh cut
well.
grass start talking, I get up my phone out and I look at him, just like, what does Sam look like? Okay,
Hmm.
there we go.
Hmm.
But every time Marisha starts talking, I was like, I can picture it. I don't have to get my phone out, and I love it just as much. She's still stealing the show as far as I'm concerned.
No, yeah, her and I mean, um, yeah, her acting for these first three episodes has been spectacular. I think the only one who did maybe a slightly better job or as good of a job this episode was Travis with Bertram Bell.
Mm.
His I found that his acting of Bertram Bell this week was better than the first two, and maybe the best he's been as Bertram Bell. And I think for reasons, I think there's reasons for that. But we'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute. Or should we just talk about it now?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so because I don't have a point for this
So
because this is one of those
I
points
do.
that I didn't write down because I
Yeah,
figured it would
I
come
do.
up. Because,
Um,
like I said to you in a private text, there's a gap for me.
yeah,
There's something missing there. And did you
yeah.
did you bridge that gap?
No, no. But what I did is I did connect a couple of dots.
Okay,
I have a feeling
this is why I
based on I
talk to
mean
you, man.
yeah,
Not
spoilers
because
here,
you're
spoilers here.
award-winning personalities, because you connect dots.
I Well, okay, I'll go back. Let's just jump back a little bit here. We said in the beginning, and we all figured that this was Bertram Bell was going to be a guest.
Yeah.
He was going to be a placeholder until Travis's quote unquote real character shows up. I think they knew. I think Travis knew 3 episodes was what Bertram Bell was going to get.
I think we
And
all
I
kind of felt
think
that way. I
we
thought he
all
might
felt
die
that.
in episode 2, and episode 3 came out, and I was like,
I
this
thought
has
it might be
got to
one.
be it.
Yeah, who knows?
And then that
Um,
battle ended, and I was like,
Yep.
what's going on here?
Yeah. Well,
And
okay. So spoiler
then-
alert: Bertram Bell dies at the end of this episode. I think Matt told him and didn't tell the rest of the cast that Bertram Bell was going to die this episode.
They knew
And I
as much as
think-
we did, though.
I don't know. I don't think that everybody knew. I think they were if you
As
look at
much
the
as we did,
reactions-
because we don't
Oh,
know
as much as-
shit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Okay. No, right. Sorry. I jumped my communication there. I thought you were going to say something else, and I just automatically assumed you did, regardless of what you said. The well, looking at their reactions, they didn't see Bertram Bell going. I don't think. If they did, they're very good actors, which they are. So maybe. But I think Matt told him, "Yeah, you're going to die," and I think that's why Travis acted his teeth out.
Oh, I see what you're
this
saying.
episode, and he went above and beyond with Bertram Bell's, like, the ridiculousness of getting drunk at the bar, that the nonsense of why the fuck would he stab Dorian when he was in that darkness circle. Like, that doesn't make any sense why he would do that, but that's Travis really putting a fucking check on this character's bucket list and really pulling out all the stops. Bumbling old fool, and that I've got written down here like a couple of the names that he's like when the party name idea came out, like Bertrand Bell's Sorceress Swords, the Bertrand's Bells, the Bertrand's Bell Ends. I mean, they were just, Travis was going all out with this stuff, and
Travis was showing a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, of course it was. Of course, the sniffs and the other things. But I think they knew that he knew that there was an end coming. And I mean, listen, the way they tied that into. Okay, I'm going to keep going with this one, because the way that they tied that in with Imogen's, the way that Matt tied that in with Imogen's dream of her home
Okay,
farmstead with
these
the
are the dots that
horse.
I'm looking for because I missed
Right.
something there, and I've seen it twice, and
Yeah.
I'm missing something.
Oh, I think we all are. I think that the way that um, that was tied in uh, to Imogen's dream, and then when the oh dude, how good was that that if that fire storm effect that Matt had about the with the did you watch that with the sparks flying by and everything goes red at the end of the episode? Oh,
Yes, my
just
second time through, I watched.
incredible.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
looking for clues and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
so good.
they were going
I
sideways
think
like a snowstorm, but it was ash, according to the
here's
yeah.
here's the only connection that I could make between Imogen's dream sequence of her family and homestead and the farm that she grew up in and Bertrand Bell's death. The only connection I could make was um, they the chemistry. I wrote this is what I wrote down. The chemistry between Travis and Laura um, when they followed Dennis into the tavern, and then they did that whole routine of I think she's invisible. Well, we'll just go over and we'll poke, and then we'll flail our arms around, and
That's
how that had the
hilarious.
whole that had the whole table cracking up.
Took him like 20, sorry, not 20,
Oh,
2 minutes to get
it's
through. Let's just do this.
yep, yep. So I think the way that they beautifully fumbled through that with Imogen's abhorrent mind sorcerer, it imprinted. This is the only connection I can make, and I'm really grasping. It left an imprint of Bertrand in her mind that then Matt used to tie up how they're going to know that Bertrand Bell died.
Oh.
I'm grasping. I'm really grasping, but
No, that
it's the only connection I could make.
okay.
I don't because otherwise, how are they going to know he's gone? How are they going to know he's dead? They're going to go on a hunt and guaranteed that creepy motherfucking dwarf has taken the body and stuffed it somewhere down a drain or never to be found again.
Yeah. I mean, it was in
Um,
just like some alley
some
somewhere,
random
right?
alley. Yeah,
See, I
exactly.
didn't even know. Like first time I listened to it, I was walking like home from a bar, so I was just like,
Mm,
oh, like I heard the whole sequence of like it's into the hilt, and then the
yep,
second one, that's a
yep,
natural 20, you
yep.
know, and then it was that again. I was like, that's, and everybody at the table was like, now,
Yeah.
just like
Now,
we
yeah.
all were. We're like, okay, it's gonna
We
happen
all
at
knew it
some
was coming.
point.
We knew it was coming because
Yeah.
that old man can't follow them forever.
And
So
it's
yeah,
just it was the step just before that I
yep.
didn't catch. And even after
I don't.
watching it a second time, I still didn't
Yeah,
catch it. Either
yeah.
because I wasn't paying attention, but I think I was.
No, I don't think there was anything
I
to
think there
catch. I
was a
think it
little bit
was
of a leap there, wasn't there?
maybe. You mean why he left the bar to go out and on a walk by himself, or
Yeah, and then also why he's
yeah?
stabbed to the hilt
Mm,
multiple times. Like we I guess there's no way for us to know like why
yeah.
somebody's out there to kill him. I
Mhm.
suppose it could be anybody, right? Or it could just be
I
fucking
think
nothing.
I think that the well, I have a feeling that that creepy dwarf rogue, whatever the fuck that dwarf thing is, we got our first big bad of the campaign. Um, the I think that he was keeping he split, but didn't actually leave. He was in the neighborhood and he followed them when they left the hotel and they
Makes
went
sense.
downstairs and they went drinking. He followed them and then he saw Bertrand leave on his own and I was like, oh, here's my chance to go pick one of them off.
Okay, well that would bridge the gap for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Then that was my take on it. The idea that it was going to be Bertrand Bell. I hate saying this, but I think it was pre-planned. I think Travis knew that that's what he was supposed to do.
Oh, okay. Like as far as like
And
Travis is concerned, as far as a
yes,
character, like Travis
yeah,
and Matt probably had
had
this.
this. Yeah, it's like at the end of the episode, I'm gonna provide an opportunity for you, and you're gonna leave the rest of them on your own. And
Yeah.
Travis was like, oh, okay, this is the moment. Now I'm gonna go. And then Matt's like, right, now's the moment. And
Yeah. I mean, it
this
makes
is how you go.
sense in this early stage,
I don't. railroading is a thing in D&D, and this is very much an example of on the tracks. This is what has to happen.
Which is
You
not
can
necessarily
call it
always a negative thing.
no,
It's
it
like the
isn't. It
story's got to
isn't.
go this way, so let's
Yeah,
do this.
yeah,
Same thing with like
absolutely.
campaign 2 with the whole I'm gonna say traveler arc.
Yep, yep,
They did like 5 more episodes than they had planned
sure,
on that arc because they were just
sure.
like they ended up in conversations about all kinds of
Hmm.
different shit, and they're like,
Hmm.
all right, well then maybe next time we'll actually do the fucking thing. And then the next episode happened, they didn't do it, and they're like, okay, well then the next one, like they did that like 3 or 4 times.
Very much so.
Same thing with
Very
this
much
one.
so.
Like, maybe Matt and Travis had like a wink
Mhm.
moment where it's like, yeah, now's the time,
I think
buddy.
so.
And it
It
makes
feels
perfect
like it.
sense with the alcohol
Yeah.
involved
Mhm.
in an alley. Hey,
To what degree they pre-planned it, we'll never know.
well,
I think there was
they might tell
eh,
us.
they might break it up, and yeah, maybe in the campaign wrap up we'll get a little inkling.
Or
Be a nice
campaign
question
3
to
so
ask.
far with Danny Carr.
Mm,
Hey, it
maybe.
rhymes. That'd be great.
Ooh,
Hey, Danny, if you're listening, I know she
forever.
watches every week.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like there are things that could be a bridge there, even
Mhm.
though I've seen it twice, and I still am like,
We
wait, what
went.
the hell? You
I know
know,
we went really deep into that one. I think it's my turn.
is it your turn? Or is it roll time?
I,
I think it's your turn.
I think it's my turn. I think you rolled the 19 and I rolled the 15, and then you went, and then
You didn't have to
we
tell me
got
what you rolled, but all
we
right.
got we got way deep. Oh no, I rolled really low. Anyway, I didn't roll a 15. I don't even remember now. I think we got really derailed there though. Whatever. I
No, that
think
was
it's my turn
direct.
to
That
bring
was
something up.
directly on the rails. What are you talking about?
Sure. Hmm.
That's
Um,
exactly where that train was going.
I want to throw out something that we haven't really talked about. A character we haven't really talked about yet, and that
Okay.
is fresh cut grass.
Yeah, we never talk about that guy.
No, never. Oh, tonight I mean. The This was something that I noticed right away, and I suddenly clicked with me. Is we all know how big Sam's teeth are, but if you watch, if you watch the first half of this episode, 3/4 of the episode, his teeth are just enormously prominently displayed the entire beginning of this episode. Every time he's like looking around and doing something, it's just a giant toothy grin. And it suddenly occurred to me, I think I know why. He's mimicking Fresh Cut Grass's permanent grin. If you look at the character art, he
Oh.
he doesn't. He's the character, the automaton automaton is constantly smiling. His mouth is permanently fixed into a grin. And I realized, I'm like, that's why he talks like that. Well, smiley day, y'all. That whole thing. He's just in character so much that he has to grin all the time.
What a choice for Liam, not Sam, to make to be like, let's make you a character that has teeth on display all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
At first, I was thinking it might be like a radiator grill of a thing. I'm like, oh, that's why Sam's smiling. And
Like
then I looked at the
Baleen on a
character.
whale.
Yeah, like exactly. And I was like, well, maybe it's just a car radiator or something, and that's why he's like constant. But no, I looked at the character art. He actually does have a fixed jaw or a movable jaw, but it's in a smile. It's in a grin.
Right.
So I looked. I was watching Sam, and I'm like, he's just walking around with a huge smile on his face the entire episode, or the first half of the episode. Anyway, that's all. Just a real small point.
Speaking of which, with that though, when they kind of celebrated with the cake, and Sam,
Yeah, the cake.
Sam didn't
loaf,
have to
as
say
Matt called it.
shit. He could have just sat
Yeah.
back and did his normal,
Mhm.
like this goes back to the first thing that I was saying about like people being comfortable at the table and saying something.
Yep.
He sat there and people were enjoying their cake and they were talking about how it tastes and the texture, and like how it wasn't that great. Could have used some frosting and stuff. And he was a little embarrassed. The The only way I can remember the orc's name is thinking of Game of Thrones, Westeros, and he's
Oh,
Esteros, I think, or something similar.
yeah, yes.
Esteros, I think.
I think
Estros,
there's an sh in there.
something. Yeah, there's something like that.
Lord,
And they're just
Lord.
talking about it as people with taste buds and shit like that, and saliva.
Yes.
And then at one point, Sam just let it go, and then he also had some, but it went under my radar.
Mhm.
And then later on, he was like, "Oh, so after I took that bite, I just kind of chomped it a little bit and let it fall onto the floor, so that like it looked like it was gone." And I think it was Fern that said like she saw it and she's like, "Oh, I picked that up and I eat it."
And I eat it, yeah, and that was a funny reaction moment because a bunch of people at the table were like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Well, that's."
But there's no saliva. It's nothing. It's just crumpled cake.
Yes, it's just smushed up cake. Like you took it into between a couple of spoons and smashed it together, and then like, well, that's just smushed up cake.
And it was so great with fucking Letter's character because he's just like this lawful good, just such a nice person. He's like, yeah. Normal, like at the bar, he was like, "Oh no, thank you. I don't want beer because I cannot taste or feel anything." And he's sitting there. And it's like, yeah, he put cake in his mouth, and he's like, "Gang, gang, gang." I just, yeah,
Yep.
to be a nice person or to be a nice thing because that's all he knows. That's all he was programmed or whatever.
So good. So
Amazing.
good.
It was great. He didn't have to say shit, but adding that in there just added to that character development. Not much development, but very strong development.
Yeah, that's right. A
it was great.
a very minor little bit that enhances so much.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
And Ashley
I
had no
enjoyed it.
idea he was going to do it. And she was like, "Oh, I see the cake and I pick it up and I eat it." It's like she didn't know that was going to happen, but of course she
No.
would because there's no
Reacts.
social norm. She's just going to do it because she's Fern.
Just
Fucking
as
brilliant,
phase it
man.
gets.
There's brilliance all over the board with this goddamn
Little bits.
table.
The other part about FCG was his sort of support role in the combat that they have, like with that creepy
Remind me,
dwarf
what's
and
going
the-
on?
and it just the whole thing. He runs in the middle of those. What were those shade creepers? They called them shadow creepers, and then Matt corrected them to shade creepers. But he ran right into the hotel room, into the middle of that situation. FCG.
Well, he
did.
rolled.
and rolled in to that part, and then just selflessly, like he's like, "I'm going to heal Orem," and brought him back up, and then he.
Oh yeah, he came in and was like, "Smiley day."
Yeah.
Ashton said, "Read the room, read the room," and then he healed Orem and then joined the battle. Yeah.
And then joined the battle, and he had this little grappling claw, which was like this weird scorpion from Mortal Kombat, like shooting it out, and reeling them in, and pulling. And then has very.
I think there was a
very
Mortal
interesting-
Kombat reference there, wasn't there?
There was.
Like
It
the
was, yeah.
cutest come here or whatever, or get over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Get over here.
I think that's right where I stopped before we started this episode because I had to pause to get in here.
Talking about that thing.
Sorry,
combat.
did I derail you for a second?
No, not at all. I've got a
don't
million
mean to.
things I'm thinking about. No, not at all.
I think I am too.
I think before we get too deep into anything, we should roll again.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I finished my point about Sam or FCG about letters. I finished that point. So unless we want to keep talking about him.
Damn it, I thought I had one, but maybe it was already discussed.
Okay.
Hard to remember. Roll.
Let's roll.
All right, let's roll. Ooh, not so good. I got a 5.
I got a 19.
19.
I can't read this damn dice. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
It's nice with these huge numbers, man.
The letters, my camera sucks. The letters the numbers are recessed into it. They're not colored. It's really hard. It's a terrible dice. I don't like using it very often. I won't use it again after this. Anyway, I got a 19. Okay, I'm on to my second page of notes.
No shortage of notes.
I got a couple of points I want to give up on this one, but this is a much like your big one about like a shotgun sort of a point. It's about the cast really leaning into being level 3 and the newbie-ness of their party. The newbie-ness of their characters and the newness of the party. They don't have a name yet. They're barely working together. They don't really know how to behave as a party. Listen, this cast, the players, they very much know how to be party members and how to act in a party. And in many points of combat, in particular, they do exactly the right thing. Very strategic, very much moving around like a veteran D&D player would. But they balance that with absolute chaos. They I think they've split the party. I wanted to go back and count how many times in these two, they weren't really apart, they weren't really together in the first episode so much. But in the second episode and the third episode, they're very much a team. And they've split up. I don't even know how many, 5 times, 6 times. I've talked to you about this before. The cardinal rule number 1 in D&D: don't split the party.
And they
Rule
went right
1.
into team backdoor and full frontal.
Well, not only that, they split. Like Orem went in by himself, and then into the warehouse by himself, and then Travis, Bertrand, and Imogen took off following Dennis into the halfway across town, and
it was hilarious, dude.
Didn't even let anybody know. Then there was a moment that fucking killed me where FCG, I think it's at the beginning of the episode, he looks over at Ashton and says, "Okay, hey buddy, I think we should just split up right now, and you should run off in one direction and I'll run off in the other direction. We'll see what happens." And it was like that moment Sam even realized, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Let's just split the party completely.
That's what we're doing. Let's keep doing it.
Let's just keep doing it.
I think that was Sam taking a shot. Comment. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Very much so. It was a little like, hey guys, poke. Hey,
one of the newest at D&D taking a shot at people splitting the party. Yeah.
So like the whole idea, I've got a couple of points here about this, like constantly splitting the party, running away from everybody, the crime of breaking into the warehouse. And they're all like, because it's not a crime because they have Lord Esteros. I looked up his name too, by the way. It's ESH. ESHERTOSS. Esh. ESH.
Okay.
Lord Esteros.
It's not
he
Westeros.
Owns the place, and he specifically told them to go inside and take a look. So them breaking into this place is fucking stupid because they've already got permission to break into it.
It's just kind of funny. It's not his.
Yeah, it's his warehouse.
It's Esteros's warehouse.
Yes, he inherited it from Pudage or whoever the person was that he was the bodyguard of. Remember when they're sitting down for dinner?
Okay.
He explains that whole thing of how she was the owner, and then I was her bodyguard, and now when she passed, I've inherited it, and now what's the lady's name? Evelyn. Evelyn is now my caretaker. And you went through the whole story.
Oh, that was in the first episode then.
No, that was in this past episode.
Just this one.
Yeah, when they're eating the carrot cake.
Man. Like, how many times I gotta fucking watch it to catch what you catch? But like, they don't want to raise suspicion.
No,
that's why I assumed that they were doing what they were doing, because they don't want to raise suspicion as far as
they don't, because
their involvement in that area. Which is why the first thing that Imogen did in this episode was like, I don't know, I'm here and I'm just I went to the wrong, and they're like, make a deception roll. What the fuck are you doing? And everybody's like, what the fuck?
What is happening here? Yeah, that's right. So like they don't, anyway, the bumbling around, the crime, they don't know what they're doing. They're terrible at breaking into the place. The level 3 chants come out. Like all of those things, just really leaning into the whole idea of being new at having a party. I found it beautiful that they were able to still like be very experienced D&D players in the role of very, very new characters. That disconnect is difficult. I know this. When I start, I'm at level 4, level 5 in a 5th edition campaign right now, and being a fairly experienced D&D player, it's really a struggle for me. And I've talked about this. I take a lot of inspiration from Critical Role in how to play an inexperienced character. It's, take cues from how to do it. And this was another example of that in my mind. about leaning into the absolute chaos, splitting the party, smashing shit, breaking stuff, and not knowing how to do anything, and fumbling around in the dark. Just glorious, glorious.
I don't know how much of it was like inexperience, but when they were there in just this last episode, when they were like, "All right, well, can somebody crack open the door?" And then Laudna at one point was like, "Have we asked him to open the door yet?" It's like he's in there.
Fern asks, "Oh no,
No,
no, Laudna
Fern
does. You're right. Fern asks about is it locked?"
Fern did something
Oh.
that I don't know if she off the cuff did this shit or not, but she was like, "I'm gonna start scratching the door."
Oh,
And like
yeah.
she did that, and then like later on she said, which I thought was hilarious, she was like, "I've been trying to get his attention." I think it went under their radar.
Yeah,
Because as soon as she said that, I was like, "I've been trying to get his attention by scratching very creepily down the door."
yeah,
But
she
nobody
took
seemed to pick up
so-
on it.
She took so many notes from Laura Bailey from last campaign as Jester. I feel that she's the
right, dude.
she's the chaos monkey of this crew. Fern is, and I think Ashley was like, I'm gonna just do the things that Jester did, but in a Fern way, and it's sweet and honey. Whereas Jester was very much like, yeah, I'm a trickster, I'm a prankster, and I'm gonna pull these little pranks and look at innocent little me. But it was very devious. Fern is not doing it in a Jester devious way. She's
Not
doing
devious,
it very
not at
much-
all. Yeah.
No, it's
Chaotic in this realm,
very chaotic in this,
but
yes.
not devious.
Yes.
She's a very sweet Fey creature.
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
sweet.
Right.
In the Fey world,
mean-
she's such a sweetheart. Such a sweetheart.
Well, when she did her first wild shape in this campaign into the snake, that just triggered something in my head I need to talk about.
Here we go.
I have some answers. I have some answers for questions, and you're not going to like it. But when she does her first wild shape, she does she's like describes the beautiful green snake, and then like with the model little markings, and then she's like, and there's tufts of green hair all over its body. And Sam is like,
Right, a hairy snake.
hair, a hairy snake. He's like, well, where I come from, snakes have hair. And I'm like, well, perfectly rational answer.
Canon.
Perfectly, yeah. just of course there are hairy snakes in the Fey realm.
Kinda like
Okay,
feathers on a dinosaur.
can I step on a soapbox for a minute?
Yeah, real quick. Also with her crab, she was like, "I can also turn into a crab."
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, is it just crabs?" She's like, "Well, I could be maybe a big crab or maybe a small crab." And she wasn't thinking about other kinds of animals. She was like, "Oh, they like crab. I'll talk about crabs." Fucking lovely RP.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was just. Yeah. It's moments like that where the cast they dig into something that is so innocuous that it suddenly becomes a brilliant little moment. That it's like a moment in time that only people who are hanging out with each other all the time are able to create. It's
Big thing. Yeah, that was basically that first point that I was making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly the comfort level.
See what we do
It's-
here?
yeah, it's
We
great.
tie everything back to the first point. That's a theme.
Yeah, it's totally intentional.
Yep.
Um,
Totally.
Hey, I'm just gonna step up and say this. There's I don't want to smash things down. I don't want to break things. I don't want to be negative. But we've seen Fern and Orem and Dorian in EXU. And I liked EXU. I watched it. I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't the D&D that I wanted, but it was still D&D, and I did still enjoy it. From the beginning of this campaign, when Fern and Orem and Dorian made their introduction, one of the very first questions that I had was, "Where is Mister?" And
Right.
I
went through
dug
this whole
into it.
episode not thinking about it.
Yep, I dug into it. Fern is a wildfire druid, and Mister in canon, Mister Raw cannot exist. In EXU, he clearly did, and there is going to be a disconnect here because Matt very much plays Raw. He has
Okay,
his
you're
homebrew.
saying raw, like raw meat, raw
No,
sushi.
rules as raw, RAW, rules as written
Rules as
in
written. Okay.
fifth edition.
All right. You're gonna
Mister
have to
cannot.
spell it out a little bit for me.
Sorry,
I'm a
sorry.
little inexperienced here.
So in D&D there is something called RAW, rules as written,
Fuck,
and
man.
then
Every
there
time I
is
heard that word, I just thought it was like, yeah, it's just fucking
no
raw dog in it, man.
raw means rules as written, and that's
Okay.
how a lot of tables play. Matt does a combination of both, but he tends to stick to raw. The homebrew is, listen, he homebrewed Blood Hunter, which is now raw. So it's there are things that particular geniuses. I'm going to throw it out there. Matt's a genius. He's created these things, and they've
Easy.
now become raw. They've now become rules as written as part of the rule set of Dungeons and Dragons. Again, all of these things are optional. Like you can do whatever you want with D&D. That's the beauty of it. But the Wildfire Druid, one of her abilities, their ability is that they can they can summon as a bonus action a wildfire spirit, and that's Mister. The rules for a wildfire spirit are completely different from the way that they played in EXU. It was
Okay.
Mister as a wildfire spirit was never intended to be an Mister as a wildfire spirit in EXU was intended to be an animal companion. Raw,
Right.
they only are allowed to be on this plane of existence for up to an hour,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
they can only do it once a day, every long rest. Sorry. So that is just throwing that out there. I think what happened is
I'm glad you did your research.
Yeah, Matt and her. Well, it's been bugging me for a few weeks now, and
I didn't think about it this whole episode
I
twice
know
through.
it's been bugging me for a while. And and then the other thing is, they can only do it by expending one of their beast shape slots.
Okay.
So it's either beast shape or summon wildfire spirit. So it's one or the other. You can't do both. So when she when she beast shaped, I was like, wait a minute, I need to go and look this up. And so I looked up the wildfire druid, Circle of the Wildfire, and I was like, and then it was like one of those gotcha moments. I was like, okay, that totally makes sense. So not shitting on what EXU did, but clearly they were going more for this Mister being being a animal companion as opposed to being an actual wildfire spirit,
Right.
which is, I think her and Matt had a little meeting. If you're gonna, I'm guessing that Matt said, if you're gonna continue with this character, you're gonna need to play more raw, which means Mister can't be with you all the time.
Right.
It's in that context, it's just too overpowered. It's too OP. It doesn't a wildfire spirit constantly being around with you is just too OP at low.
Well, it's like another character, right?
It's right, and
Because they're with you in initiative, right?
they actually follow you in the rule book. They follow you with initiative, so they go right after you, and there's a whole rule set about what they can and can't do.
Right.
So as a bonus action, it's kind of like a spiritual weapon, sort of, where
But permanent.
you use but permanent. But well, no, in the rules as written, they behave very much like a spiritual weapon. If you remember the giant lollipop that Jester always had,
Yeah, it takes a slot to use it.
Yeah, and you have to use a bonus
once
action
per day and or
what to
long
do.
rest.
But right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean that makes some sense. That we haven't
Mhm.
seen Mister this whole
Right.
time because she brought
So I
him
think
up in the
this is-
first episode.
Yeah.
And then
And I think
maybe they were like, let's hope that doesn't come up.
Yeah.
But it
No, I
turns
think-
out these
I think-
fucking assholes in Taiwan are talking about it every goddamn episode. So maybe we
Well,
should
I think
address it.
I think we're gonna eventually see Mister again. I think it's just gonna be a very different Mister than we remember from EXU, which is honestly a good thing. It was too much to have that fucking monkey walking around and doing stuff and sort of. The EXU is I look at EXU as sort of like a fever dream, like a sort of it happened, but it was sort of peripheral. it's going to get weird because they said, Matt even said, this is canon. Anything you do here is canon. But clearly they've already retconned that because Mister couldn't have existed the way he did.
Now,
Also, I'm just going to throw out one more thing about Fern,
sure.
and about the wildfire. She beast shaped into a dire wolf in that one episode of EXU, if you remember right.
Mhm.
You don't get dire wolf ability. You can't polymorph into a dire wolf until about level 8 or 10.
Wow. Okay.
Dire wolves are CR
Dude, yeah, they got a high
4 or
CR,
2, really hard. I don't remember what it is. I looked that up as well, and I was like,
And
oh right,
CR
there's no
stands for creature rating. No,
challenge rating. Jesus.
challenge rating.
Challenge
Thank you.
rating.
Thank you.
Yeah, challenge rating. That shouldn't have taken me that long. The
That was a whole
that
was almost a second. What's wrong with you?
brain. That's age, time. I don't know. Lots of things.
I don't even remember your reasons.
The amount of alcohol I drank this past weekend at celebrating Dan's life. Yeah, a lot of things.
It's what he would have wanted.
100% is what he would have wanted. So yeah, like I looked that up and I was like, right. So she couldn't have done that, but they let because Abria, and I'm all for rule of cool. I think rule of cool needs to be at every table. Every D&D table needs rule of cool in some semblance or another. They went a little above and beyond what rule of cool, not what rule of cool should be, but they very much played a rule of cool, and they had a great time playing that, and I support that 100%. It's just the difference of Fern changing into a dire wolf in EXU and Fern changing into a constrictor snake in campaign 3 is dire wolf up here, constrictor snake way down there. It's a giant bring back what's the word? I don't know what the word escapes me, but like, I mean, she even says it. She's like, and then as an action, I'm going to change into the snake, or I'm going to beast shape into the snake, and then I'm going to attack. And Matt's like, you're not Circle of the Moon. You can't do that.
Right.
And Marisha even goes, oh yeah, so that's the big thing about Circle of the Moon. Circle of the Moon are allowed to bonus action beast shape and then action attack.
Yeah, in the context of having EXU being canon for the world of Exandria, and especially having those characters or a part of that world being continued into something else that continues to be canon, then yeah, I imagine that some retcon's going to be definitely in play, and retcon's fine, and just for those, not for me, but just for those that don't know I know what retcon means, but just for those who don't know what retcon stands for, can you tell them, not me, what that means?
God,
the words.
Fuck. Ret.
It took me forever to figure out what DC meant. It's like, what's the DC for that? I mean, I know what it means, but
you're gonna make me
DC,
Google
like,
this now.
Dice cut. And then retcon, it's got to be a combination of two words, right? Are you looking it up? You fucking cheater. You fucking cheater.
It's an old word. It's not just. It's
two words, right?
Word. Yeah.
Yeah. This is where we got to end it too, because it's already we're already at our mark.
Fucking hell. It's a very.
I know I got more points here, but we
from,
got to talk about
it. I have a very important one I want to bring up. It's
man, you got to make it quick because I got to pee too.
It'll be a quick one.
All right.
Retroactive continuity, and it's
retroactive continuity.
Yeah,
all right.
it's a
For those of you who
device.
didn't know, that's what it means.
Right. Hey, okay. I just want to bring up one quick little point. It's a Neil deGrasse Tyson moment for me. Quick story. In one of Neil deGrasse Tyson's very first appearances on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, he walked onto the set and pointed out that giant Earth that's spinning, the big model that's spinning in The Daily Show, he pointed out, he's like, your Earth is spinning the wrong way. And it was.
It was going the wrong direction? You kidding me?
It was rotating in the wrong direction. So they fixed it. I had my own little moment when they went to God damn it, where did I write this? There it is.
Wait, you changed what they did?
Yeah. when Matt, no, fuck no. When Matt goes from daytime into nighttime, the scene behind them, the projectors on set behind
Oh,
them, have little porthole windows.
yeah.
And in those windows, the stars are exactly the same for both sides of the
Oh,
table,
son of a bitch.
which is completely impossible.
It's a fucking set, you asshole.
I had to do it. I just
send them a
looked.
message. Maybe they'll change it.
No,
I
not a
doubt they
fucking
will.
chance. But they're sitting at opposite sides of the table, so it's completely impossible that both sides of the sky would look the same.
I'm holding a piss for this bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. All right, buddy. That's it. That's the last one I got.
All right, sounds good to me, man. Yeah, we got a few more points here, but we'll pick it up next time. Maybe in the Slack week.
There's always going to be more. We're never going to get to them all.
Yeah,
so.
dude. There's gonna be a backlog of these fucking pages, man. It's never gonna end. Man.
Absolutely.
But hey,
right,
thanks for. I want to thank you personally for hey, you had a really fucking tough week, dude. So thank you so much in the name of Dan.
Thank you
for coming out, dude. And
to Dan.
To Dan, hey. And let's hang out soon in person so we can give Dan a proper cheers. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we have his official wake will be Saturday, and hopefully, we're still working out details, but yeah, we're definitely gonna. He was a guy that I was hoping that you would be able to meet because he was one of the guys I played D&D with regularly, and again, he was the one that would play D&D with us often. So yeah,
I'm missing out, so you're gonna have to fill me in, man.
Yep, totally. All right, buddy.
Cheers.
Have a great week.
Yeah, you too.
Catch you on the flip. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who's watching, get in the Discord, send us an email, whatever, man. Just get in touch. You want to join the conversation? It's all right there. Check it out. And we'll see you next week. Yeah.
Anybody out there in Taiwan and you want to talk to some other critters, please reach out.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay. We'll see you next week, Ben.
See you next week, buddy.
Cheers.